Hello, everyone. This is a brief introduction to navigating the RStudio server. First of all, you want the correct URL. And so you want to point your browser to https://rstudio.georgetowncollege.edu:8787. You'll probably have this link from a syllabus or some other source, but just in case, that's the URL, rstudio.georgetowncollege.edu:8787. When you first go to this website for the very first time, your browser might complain that the site is insecure, that its so-called certificate is out of date. If so, don't worry. Just click whatever option your browser gives you to continue on ahead to the site. It is a safe and secure site. Once you get there, you'll have the sign-in splash page. And you will use your Georgetown College username and Georgetown College password to sign in. So I'm HWhite0. And then I give my password. After a few seconds, you'll be on the RStudio server. And I'm going to go ahead and show you roughly what you might see when you first begin. You'll see 3 panes. One pane is on the left of the server, and it has 2 tabs, Console and Terminal. Some other tabs may appear later relating to other work that you do. The Console tab should be the tab that's on top. If it's ever not on top, just click on it and it will be the active tab. You'll also have two other panes on the right side of the server. The pane on the top will have at least 3 tabs: Environment, History, and Connections. And depending on what class you are in, you may use one or even no of these tabs. The Environment tab will probably be the most important for most of you, and it's the one that is on top by default. The bottom pane contains several tabs. You see here Files, Plots, Packages, Help, and Viewer. And most likely the Files pane is going to be the one that's on top. And that's the one that you're going to deal with quite a bit. Let's take a look into the Files pane. You should see the word Home in blue with a little icon of a house next to it. That's because you're looking into your home directory on the RStudio server. Every user has their own home directory. The files in this directory are files that that user owns and that user can modify and run and do other things with. Your home directory probably contains only a few items in it. Maybe it contains a folder called R. And if you're in one of our classes, it probably also contains a folder called My Notes, and a folder called Returned, and a folder called Submit. The R folder is something that you should never go into or try to change in any way. It may actually end up never containing anything in it to begin with, but just know that it's there. But you'll make quite a bit of use of your submit and your return folder, because that has to do with submitting and getting homework back. And your My Notes folder is just there as a convenience to remind you that you can create folders on your own and store things in them. Navigating this directory is similar to using Windows Explorer on a Windows machine or the Finder on a Mac system. I'm going to show you now how you can just get into My Notes. All you do is you take your mouse and hover over My Notes and click, and then you are now inside the My Notes folder. You can tell this because on the top you have Home and then a little arrow, and then My Notes. So the files that I'm looking at now are the files that are in My Notes folder. If I want to go back home, I only have to click on the word home in blue, and I'm back at the top of my home directory. In the same way, you can ask to look inside any of the folders that you have. So I'll look inside my submit folder, and there's nothing there right now. I don't have any homework that I'm planning to turn in. Back to my home directory, I'll look into my return folder. And looks like I have some old homework that was once returned to me. If you want to open one of these files, you can do so by clicking on the file. I'll go ahead and open this return homework file. When I do so, a fourth pane appears on the RStudio server. By default, it will appear on the left-hand side at the top where I'm waving my mouse. And this pane has to do with files that you want to look at or to edit. So what I'm looking at right now is the buffer associated with this file over here in blue that I've just opened up. What I'm looking at here in RStudio Server is just the buffer. It's not the file itself. The buffer is the place where the computer keeps changes that you've made to the file before you actually save those changes directly to the file on the disk. Here, I think I will make a change to this file. I will change the words terrible job to good job. And maybe I'll change my grade from a 0 to a 10. So I've typed these other characters, and changes therefore have been made to my buffer, and I can tell that I've made some unsaved changes because now next to the name of the file up here in the buffer where I'm waving my mouse, there is a little star, an asterisk. That says my buffer has changes that I haven't saved yet. If I want those changes to be saved inside the file itself, then I have to save these changes. And I can do that by going to the File option in the menu here, clicking, and asking to save. Notice there's a keyboard shortcut. On my Macintosh computer, it's the Command S. On a Windows, it would be Control S. So you could either use that shortcut or you could just push this button, and then you have saved those changes. The asterisk no longer appears. If you'd like to close the file, you just press the little X that appears after the file name. And the file goes away. But it still exists on the storage of the server, and if you ever want, you can just open it up again by clicking on its blue name. And you'll see that the changes that I saved to it appear. A little bit more about some of the windows, but first I'll go home again in my files. In the console, this is where you communicate directly with the R session, the session for the R programming language that has been set up for you to work with when you logged on to the server. This is where you enter R commands. Let me enter a very simple R command just to show you what it's like. 2 plus 2. I'm asking R to add the numbers 2 and 2 together. And now if I just press the enter or return key on my computer, then that command gets run. And down in the console, you'll see 4 appear, written back at me, the result of running that command. We'll learn a lot more as we go through the course about entering commands in R and seeing their results. But this is just a very simple way to do this through the console. The time will come when you would like to finish your session of working for a time, and you'll want to log out of the server. How do you do that? Well, if you go up to the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a number of words with buttons next to them that you could push. And it's rather important that you ignore some of these for now. Project and the little down arrow next to it. You're not going to be creating any RStudio projects, at least for a while, most of you. And so even though you can get into that and ask to do things, don't. The R button just says what version of the R programming language is being used. Hopefully that will only show one possibility for you. If it ever does show more than one, please don't mess with it. Very important not to mess with sessions, okay? For that, one could end up creating a session that one does not want to create. It's for more power users. It can be useful to have multiple sessions where you're doing different work within each session. But it can be confusing to figure out what session you're in and how to change between them until you get more experience. So for now, you just want to start with the one session that you have available on the server. So avoid the sessions. What you do want to do is sign out. And if you hover over the little icon next to your username, you'll see that you get a pop-up that says sign out. You simply press that button and you're signed out. Always sign out when you're done with your work. And then when you're ready to begin again, simply sign in again. And when you sign in, you're going to find yourself back again where you were on the server. Whatever files you had opened will be opened, and whatever place you were on the console, you'll still be in that same place, and so on. RStudio keeps track of where you are and saves things for you. An interesting point is that you can even have some unsaved changes. For example, let me change my score to an 8, and I now have that unsaved change you can see by the asterisk. I'm going to log out and log in again. And you'll see that we still have the asterisk here, and the buffer still has that unsaved change. So that's kind of an interesting and useful feature, but one that you'll need to watch out for reasons that we'll learn in a later presentation. Let's go ahead and save these changes and log out one more time. And we'll learn more about RStudio soon in other presentations. Thanks for watching.